On this episode of Mike Crispy Unafraid, the Pope has died this morning. We are going to talk about what that means, who the Pope was, and his effect on geopolitical matters. Was he a globalist plant all along? I guess I could talk about it because I'm a Catholic. I could say what I want, kind of like when, the black people say whatever they want about BLM, right? So we're gonna do it like that today. We're gonna pull our Catholic card and say whatever we want and put it down on the table. Additionally, we're going to talk about the Democrats. Are the leading Democrats violating the Logan Act right now, and should they be locked up? And that begs answering is, will Pam Bondi and Kash Patel do anything? And we're going to talk about the hit job that is being run right now to try to take down Pete Hegseth. We love Pete Hegseth. I would say my favorite member of the Trump cabinet. They're trying to take him down over the last couple days. I don't think it's going to work, but we're going to give you the update on that. I want to welcome everybody into this very special Monday edition of the show today. I need you to help us get this party started by rumbling this video. That is the thumbs up on the browser. That is the thumbs up on the mobile app. You click it, you hit it, you tap it, you share this, you get us to the top of the Rumble leaderboards because it is the only place that we belong. So, we got a big show for you today. I'm ready. Producer Frankie's ready. You better be too, and let's go. Hello, everybody. Mike Crispy here, coming live from New York. It is Monday. It is April 21st, and I'm joined in studio by the one and only. He is the most bass producer in the game, and, he's now known as the dark horse candidate for Pope. Dark horse candidate, who's adhering to all of the nice Catholic traditions leading up to his, marriage and everything like that. I think that qualifies him to be Pope more than Francis was. Producer Frankie, do you want to be the Pope?
It's a hard no for me, dog. It wouldn't be a bad bedroom to be sleeping in. It's a beautiful place. I'm good. I'm all good. I will stay far, far away from that organization. I'm good. Sundays are good enough for me.
That organization, there's some very interesting things with that organization. I've actually been in the Vatican twice, and
what a place.
It was amazing to me that something, what a place. A place with so much potential. I would always say it when Pope Francis was around. It's like, how do we have, a Pope like this with the potential like this? We'll get into that later in the show. I see we had a good audience today. Friday our audience was not good. I guess people didn't know that we were airing on Fridays. So, maybe we won't do any shows on Friday. But I'm happy today that people are here. You guys just didn't get the memo. So we'll figure out what we're going to do, and we'll make an announcement. Frank and I will make an executive decision on the future of our show on Fridays, because you guys don't want to watch on Fridays, I guess. But it's good to have you here on a Monday. I have a feeling we're going to have a good audience today. We're going to have a good audience and try to be as clickbaity as possible in our titles. That's the new goal of the show. So I want to get the show started. Actually, I went viral on X last night for a comment that I made regarding Jamie Raskin and his violation of the Logan Act. Over the last couple of days, we've seen this Democrat senator from Maryland go down and try to rescue an illegal alien. We saw that. And we have seen many, many times Democrats in Congress who do not have a authoritative position to broker foreign deals, meaning do foreign diplomacy, speak on it in a way that you never saw any Republicans or MAGA people speak on. Why didn't you hear them speak on it? Because, again, we're typically a party that adheres to the rule of law, sometimes to our own fault. What I mean by that is activist judges saying something and then we stop. No, blow past the activist judges, F them, right? But Democrats don't seem to get that memo. They never, ever, ever seem to know a limit. They will say things so egregious and ridiculous, even if you're an objective Democrat, you'd stop and say, whoa, wait a minute. And it isn't the Jasmine Crockett AOC type saying it. It's like, the prominent long-time Democrats, the ones who've done it for a while, the ones that, according to Letitia James, are too male, too pale, and too stale. And Jamie Raskin is a guy who, again, he's not a new guy, not a young guy, not what you would consider, someone in the squad. He's an old school Democrat. And I watched this clip of him on this podcast over the weekend, and I said to myself, what he's saying is so out of the bounds of what any member of Congress has ever said. If I was Pam Bondi, if I was Kash Patel, I would have the FBI go to this guy's door, beat the shit out of him, lock him up, and say, buddy, you're brazenly breaking the law. And again, everyone would say, you're setting a crazy standard. What are you doing? It's like, you can't let these things be said and be done and be put out. And then if you want to respond to it, they say, oh, look at what they're doing. They're breaking all the norms. No, what you're saying is breaking all the norms. And what you're saying is illegal on 10 different levels. I'm all about free speech. But this is dark meddling in foreign affairs. A direct violation of the Logan Act. And before people say to me, oh, Mike, you sound a little harsh. You don't want the FBI to go get Raskin. What about all the people that walked through velvet ropes on January 6th? Walked through velvet ropes. They didn't try to, sabotage international diplomacy on getting criminals out of this country. They walked through velvet ropes, and a lot of their lives were ruined. And Raskin encouraged it. So listen how Raskin talks with impunity right now. And how I say now, who's going to do something about it? Roll it, Frankie.
So I like that idea, and it's a complement to something that we need to be doing right now, which is engaging in far more work of transnational democratic solidarity with the democratic governments and the democratic movements and peoples and parties of the world.
Totally agree.
To try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us. But implicit in it should be the idea that if and when we come back to power, and we will, we are not going to look kindly upon people who facilitated, to use a word of the day, who facilitated authoritarianism in our country. Because that's an assault on our Constitution and on our people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mike,
so
who is that?
I had to hold on for you. That's Jamie Raskin.
No, are you sure? I don't see a do-rag. I'm
Who is
sorry.
it, Frankie?
I just have never seen him with that do-rag. All right. Sorry.
Jamie Raskin, 50 Cent reincarnate. So he said, people who don't stand with transnational, and he wasn't talking about transgender. That's the only topic that these leftists can talk about. Transnational Democrat solidarity. Okay, that's a very fancy way to say if you don't agree with our far left terminology in another country, then you're not keeping up with transnational Democrat solidarity. Then they said the fascist uprising. And if you deal with President Trump, meaning if you engage in foreign diplomacy, trade deals, international security, cutting back on the money laundering, if you deal with Trump in his position and make a deal with him, then we will remember it when we inevitably will come back to power. What a veiled threat. Disgusting and illegal. Again, there is a Logan Act that is illegal for anybody who is not designated to do so, the Secretary of State, the executive branch, the president, to engage in foreign diplomacy and to pressure foreign governments in any way. That is explicitly illegal. It's unbelievable. And it's funny because that's the message that the Democrats are putting out there. And then on the home front, on the fake news, whenever President Trump is engaging in his foreign diplomacy, particularly in the last couple of days about this MS-13 gang member that has been caught dead to rights. He's got the MS-13 tattoos on his knuckle. Everyone saw the picture by now. The pictures have come out from the wife's social media where any picture of him in the picture where he's hugging his wife or taking a picture, she puts the little heart emojis over his hand because he obviously has the tattoos. It's like it's a dead giveaway. People are like, well, those tattoos don't prove he's in the MS-13. Okay, well, here's a question, genius. Well, then why in every single picture that she posts does she specifically put the heart emojis covering the guy's fucking knuckles? Like, give me a break. I'm sure she just placed it there. It's like, shut up. It's like, I've had enough. Trump said, I was elected to protect people in this country. I need to be able to do my job. And the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 that Trump couldn't deport like a certain group of Venezuelans. And Justice Alito came out and said, what are we doing here? Like, this is unbelievable. Like, again, Supreme Court justices almost never speak out, but he did because it was so ridiculous. How about MS-13? MS-13 NBC. That's what they're going to be called. MS-13 NBC Criminal Gang News Network the other day when President Trump was talking. Again, people want to know the truth. The people on CNN, the panelists, they're like, well, we need to see due process. If he's a gang member, then get him out of the country. Due process, due process. That's what these idiots were saying the other night when I was watching the CNN roundtable. Due process. Okay, well, if it's due process, and you find out through a due process that he's part of an international criminal gang, don't you think, like, he's got to go? Oh, no, you want to leave him in the courts for another 15 years to go through due process? Shut up. That's so disingenuous. So when Trump talks about him being part of MS-13, look at the way MSNBC cuts away immediately.
In 2019, Garcia was issued a deportation order. Two separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13, which is a gang that may be even worse.
We've been watching President Donald Trump there swearing in the new administrator of the CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, Dr. Mehmet Oz, during this conversation.
Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Frankie, it's unbelievable, huh?
You know, LiveView must make a lot of money on cloud services because they just, every live stream is just recorded in the background on servers, and then they pick what they want to re-air on the air. It's just, it's so pathetic. It's sad.
It's not real news.
It's not.
It's not real news.
And, you know, it's crazy, Mike, because they learned.
It is not real
They
news.
really learned because, you know, realistically, Trump was just crushing. I mean, when they looked at that first election, they all looked at each other and they said, this is our fault. We gave him the airtime. And literally since then, they will not. I mean, that was very rare. They cut in live. Let's go. And then as soon as they say anything that changes the narrative, fade down, narration up. Okay, guys, you were just watching Trump. Now we're going to talk about nonsense. It's just joke.
As soon as he puts the direct evidence that flies counter in the face of what they're talking about, it's pretty unbelievable. Now, what's even more unbelievable, Frankie, is that Good Morning America tried to do this little puff piece interview with this woman. Now, this woman that you're about to see. This fat, wretched woman, 'cause that's what she is, because she's facilitating international crime. Screw her, too. She's facilitating international crime. This fat, wretched woman, she gets her ass kicked by her husband, okay? Gets beaten to a pulp multiple times. Police filing. Again, think about it. Think about the audacity of these people. They're in the country illegally. You think if you're somewhere illegally, you'd be minding your P's and Q's. No. Kilmar beat the hell out of this woman. And then she filed reports. And then when they posted pictures, she covered up the knuckles. The reports are out there. The deportation orders are out there. And then, in a rare stream of consciousness for the mainstream media, she was asked, hey, what happened with your husband, beating you? What's going on there? Look how she handled the question. Roll it.
I have to ask it. You did take out a temporary order of protection against your husband in 2021. Were you in fear of your husband?
Husband is alive. That's all I can say.
Okay, and I'm not going to push on that apparently. But how much hope?
Even Strahan is like, what the hell is going on here? Even Strahan is like, I'm a little amazed that they put her on the air. I'm a little amazed they put this woman on the air.
Honestly, I'd be surprised if someone like Cash doesn't watch that interview and they're like, it's actually getting a little sketchy. Let's look into her. Because, I mean, it's like, is someone bribing her? Is someone got her at gunpoint saying, you better stir this and get him back and you better cause this? I mean, it's kind of getting to a point where it's like, did we have to look into her?
I think, Frankie, I think she sees dollar signs. I think they're promising her
book deal,
financial incentive from far left activists. They're using this guy. But think about it. To come into the country illegally and commit crimes like human trafficking and beat the shit out of your wife, and do all and then get a deportation order. To be in the country illegally and then not be like, oh, well, he was checking in with his ICE officer and he was a good little illegal showing up for his court dates. No, he was like a thug criminal once he was in the country. And then he has the tattoos on the knuckle. And then she defends him and then she covers up the tattoos on the knuckle.
It's like, and people are like, they're just tattoos. No one has a marijuana leaf next to a smiley face, next to a cross, next to it. What combination? What are we talking about?
It is the downfall. I'm telling you, it is the downfall of the Democrat Party, Frankie, in an insane way. Yes.
And I'll even say, there's a couple. I'm not saying that, anything was done wrong, but I'm like, there's a couple of people that were sent out that maybe should get a little more spotlight. Like there was that, that gay hairdresser who got deported to El Salvador. There was like some guy who had a autism awareness tattoo that they thought maybe was MS-13, but it was clearly like a puzzle piece. It was autism awareness. There's a couple cases within hundreds of thousands that maybe should be checked out, but certainly not this guy. Certainly not this guy. This guy should not get 1 minute of airtime.
And the fact that they use that guy as the guy is pretty unbelievable. They use him as like the top example, the shining example.
Yeah.
And this is where, again, I always say you can't negotiate with terrorists. These people are international and domestic terrorists. Now they're international because they're facilitating it around the world. Jamie Raskin's comments is about us agreeing behind President Trump to keep these people out of our country. And the fact that El Salvador goes along with it, now El Salvador is in the crosshairs. That's what Raskin says. Listen to what MSNBC says. It's wild. Roll it, Frank.
I've been talking about this all week, but Janae Nelson of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, she penned an op-ed in The Nation this week. And her op-ed talked about that we think that democracies are... the way they die is dramatically through these wars and blood is shed, and it's cinematic in a sense. But really, the realistic way in which democracies die is that it's dismantled brick by brick, piece by piece. And she says that what we are seeing now with the lawlessness from this administration are really the canaries in the coal mine gasping for air. I'm paraphrasing here. But to me, that is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia's specific case, the case of the gentleman who's a makeup artist out of California who was also sent to that prison. That is why the 75% of the folks who have been sent, the men who have been sent there that don't have criminal records, that is why this is so important. Because if they could do it to them, if they could snatch students off the street without any pushback or recourse, they will do it to any of us. And to be very clear, it's going to be the people of color and vulnerable communities that are next to them.
Clearly.
Yes. They're just going to deport black citizens. They're just going to deport them out. You're black. Get out. Yeah. That's what they're going to do. Frankie, it is unbelievable that they've gone down the road of no return defending Kilmar Abrego Garcia. It's the point of no return.
It's crazy, dude.
That woman is horrible. It is so disingenuous. It is so wrong. But again, the fact that they've gotten themselves so far out on the limb, I said it on last call over the weekend. I said, if you said, you know what, this guy was a wife beater and a human trafficker and he had the MS-13, you know what, we might disagree with like how Trump's doing this. But, this guy was a gang member, so he's got to go. Like they couldn't even do that. To me, that tells me they're terrorists, international terrorists. You don't negotiate with terrorists.
And
this party is lost.
It's unbelievable, yes. Mike, because it's all like, look. There's people that didn't commit violent crimes that are. It's like, hey, watch every single speech. They'll start with the criminals. If you're stuck in there, yeah, and you're illegally here, yeah, you're going too. It's like it was never a question. It was never a question. Anyone who's not here legally has the right to be deported. Sorry, we voted for this.
That woman, Simone Sanders, as they say in the chat, makes Joy Reid seem like a moderate. So it's true. She's the new Joy Reid. But by the way, people are talking about due process. Where was the due process for the January 6ers? 100% true. And I think the Democrats, again, as they continue to spiral, as the party continues to go down the path of no return, it's amazing to me how they haven't gotten it, Frankie. They haven't said, let's catch ourselves here. We're down the path to no return. What can we do to maybe catch ourselves and moderate and try to, right the ship? Okay, let's defend an MS-13 gang member. Let's have a senator go down and try to rescue him. Let's go have drink margaritas with the guy. Remember the pictures of them drinking the margaritas? And then let's, when we're fighting back against Republicans saying, hey, let's adhere to the rule of law, we say, the black people are next. Come on. And then Jasmine Crockett continues her ascent in the party, making it all about race and divisiveness. Listen to this idiot.
I want y'all to know that every day that I walk in those halls, regardless of whatever rhetoric they put out about me, I am a very serious lawmaker. At the same time, if you try me, you will find out. I just want to be clear about that.
Very serious.
I am truly a black woman at the same time.
Truly, you don't say. You don't say. Truly a black, Frankie, what makes her truly a black woman versus just a black woman? What do you think?
I'm not getting canceled today.
Oh, man. Truly a black
her
woman.
Skin color, right? Her skin color. That makes her black.
Yeah, her skin color. Yeah, and her rehearsed lines. I'm truly a black woman. Hey, fellow black woman, I am truly a black woman. So if you want to speak a different kind of way, if you want to get off this slave plantation of the modern day Democrat Party, no. I'm truly the black woman. Think a different way? No, I'm truly the black woman, not you. What a joke. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Show rolls on. Do not go anywhere.
Show rolls on. And I just want to shout out the chat.
Truly a black
Alex
woman.
Sand, I'm just responding to you because you're totally right. You said, but Frankie, in all those cases, in all those other cases, they were illegals anyway, sponging off the taxpayers. I totally agree with you. My only point was that without the MS-13 title, like, the press has a better chance at running with it without any clapback. So, like, they're just idiots. That was my only
Frankie,
point.
right, Frankie's not getting soft on us. Frankie, though, has made a point that if the Democrats are going to pick their savior, that they could have picked a different savior for the cause, to get a little more sympathy. But they're so stupid that they picked the first thing they saw, and they thought that we would be stupid enough not to understand the fraud that is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I think the Democrats should just run him for president. Why not? Run Kilmar for president. It's unbelievable. Guys, I want to shout out our sponsors. And our first sponsor of the show today are our friends over at iTarget Pro. Guys, head over to itargetpro.com right now and use promo code CRISPY for 10% off your order. Guys, iTarget Pro is a laser firearm home training system. What does that mean? It means that you take the laser bullet that you buy that syncs up with the app. It loads into the chamber of your firearm, and you are able to dry fire and practice, with the target, with the iTarget. So, guys, go to itargetpro.com right now and use promo code CRISPY for 10% off your order. You will not be sorry that you did. iTarget Pro is an amazing gift for any holidays coming up, Mother's Day, Father's Days, etc. iTarget Pro is the place to go. So, guys, go to itargetpro.com and use promo code CRISPY today for 10% off your order. Promo code CRISPY, and it is the best gift so everybody in your family can become the sharpest shooter that God intended you to be. Comes with the target or the cubes you see there for the advanced players or the beginners. And it really is a great, great way to hone your accuracy without having to spend money on costly ammo or stuff like that. So the chat is asking, do we have Friday shows or not?
You're throwing them.
We're gonna,
all right?
We're gonna,
you shame them, but
we're
they're
gonna
all
figure
like,
that out.
you told us no Fridays, and you're shaming them for not coming.
That's true. You're right. We're going to figure it out. Frankie and I are going to figure out a schedule. We're going to figure it out. So I like Frankie and I will make an announcement about that tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow we'll make an announcement about it. Sounds great.
I hope my apartment's still floating better.
So, yes. So, all right. Frankie, let's get back into it.
We're going to get back into it. Oh, that's a good question, Serby. So, Mike and Frankie, what's the secret to getting to be the viewer of the day? It's a good question. History doesn't repeat,
Serby.
but it rhymes. So, being first in the chat's one, but it's not a definite.
Yeah.
Log's got to take some notes too.
Making a really good comment that people like. A really good comment that catches my eye. Where I go, that was genius. That is such a genius comment that you could be a podcast host. So that's one. First is possible. Doing something something that other chatters don't do, showing extra support, meeting me in person. Those are the ways to be the viewer of the day. But Serby, I'm going to make you the viewer of the day because I've never seen you chat. So you're the viewer of the day. There you go.
There it
Your
is.
first chat, viewer of the day. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You're the viewer of the day, Serby. There you go. Rumble and share the video.
Log is
for
not
this
happy.
Enormous. Log is not the viewer of the day. Maybe he was there on Friday. Denlo, Frankie forgot he said my name before. I don't think I've ever Denlo. You're not a frequent chatter, but I
spoken to
appreciate you
Denlo.
too. Maybe you'll be the viewer of the day next time. We had a good variety in the chat today. I like the chat variety. Very good. DMC 7310. Good morning. Vintage Lula Gal, of course, a stalwart in our chat. Robbie Sunshine, one of the best. T. Mitchell, also one of the best. Great chat today. Great day.
All right. Rella Rock.
All right,
On
Frankie.
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back to the show, everybody. Mike Crispy here, coming live from New York. It is Monday. It is April 21st. And, there was some breaking news that came out last night regarding the Pope. And I woke up this morning and heard the news that Pope Francis had passed away a day after Easter, or I guess on Easter night he had passed away. And pretty interesting to me is that, the Pope had passed, and today obviously people are paying tribute to the Pope, and it's obviously sad when anybody passes on. He was just with J.D. Vance yesterday, and some of the really radical leftists are somehow blaming the Pope's death on J.D. Vance. I mean, I don't know how you score that one, Frankie, but like that's out there today. Like as I read X, like that's like one of the biggest, like all the lefties are like, oh wow, J.D. Vance killed the Pope. Come on, how did he kill the Pope?
Pope.
It's an unbelievably ridiculous thing that they're saying. J.D. Vance killed the Pope. Yeah, he's the spawn of Satan. He shook hands with the Pope and the Pope died. It's like, come on, so ridiculous. Yeah, Frankie. So J.D. Vance didn't kill the Pope. Okay, news flash into the show. J.D. Vance didn't kill the Pope. So Pope passed away, and a lot of people today are paying tribute. But Frankie and I are Catholics. Roman Catholics, raised in the Catholic Church, Italians, and so we are able to say whatever we want about the Pope, because just like when BLM went crazy, it was always like, the black conservatives who were able to speak out the most fervently. And again, I think that's great. I thought I should be able to speak out just as much as them, but let me tell you this. As Catholics, Frankie and I can say whatever we want about the Pope, because we grew up in the Catholic Church. We went to the same Catholic Church, I believe, right, Frankie, for most of our lives.
That
Did
is
we, for a
true.
little bit?
You were an altar server. I remember.
Yeah. So we were Catholics. So we were big-time Catholics. And the Pope, this Pope was no John Paul II, okay, who was a good Pope. Was it the second, John Paul II?
Yeah,
Who
you're
was the last
doing
Pope?
great.
John Paul
You're
II.
doing
So they put Francis up there as the Pope. And he's known as like the progressive Pope. And if you tell me, Mike, why are you talking about this? Why does this matter? It matters, okay? The Pope is a massive world leader who's unchecked, lives in the Vatican, big wall around him, unchecked, has all this global influence over everything going on, unchecked.
Since 30C, all right? 30 years after Christ.
Yeah.
This has been a thing.
So whatever you say about the Pope, he has a lot of influence. And a lot of people have walked away from the Catholic Church.
So I just want to explain to you.
A lot of people have said this is
you skipped
a little
Benedict.
ridiculous. Yes,
you skipped Pope Benedict. But there was a weird thing that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll just point it out. We all gave a lot of crap to Pope Benedict because in a weird turn of events, we went through centuries.
He was a very short-term Pope, right? Very short-term Pope.
But not only that, Mike, centuries of history, right? That was like the 260 something Pope, okay? And every single one of those popes, took their, didn't end their rule until they died. That's how it works. It's a lifetime until you die.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Benedict retires. And we're all like, what? The balls on this guy. And, Mike, now we're so ahead. That was in 2005, okay? I was in like 5th grade.
Yeah.
You think about that. He ended in 2013. Okay, so when that happened, I was just finishing up high school, And now we look back, and I'm giving him so much crap then, and every Catholic is like, what is going on? This guy just retires. You don't get to just retire. But now, Mike, I look back, and I look at this last pope and what he's done, and it's like that guy wouldn't sign off on it, and they kicked him out. Now that's at least what I feel, because like this trans nonsense we're about to go through.
Wow.
I don't know.
All right, so let me tell you this. This pope, may he rest in peace. Obviously, the death of anybody, it's no good. But this guy was a globalist plant. This guy was put in there as an attack on the Catholic Church, and he went along with it. Sorry, it's the truth. This guy was not adhering to the Catholic. Again, the Catholic Church is like the reason people leave the Catholic Church is because people say that, it's a little bit, too old school and regimented in these traditions, and there's not enough, like free-flowing Bible teaching and all that. And on some of that, I kind of agree. I think the Catholic Church, it's kind of a tough thing when you go to Catholic Church and the Pope is the Pope, a globalist, puppet, but you're still doing all these traditions and these things and kind of ignoring the fact that like something is really wrong. Like if you're going to be a traditionalist and have it be strictly traditional, then have it be strictly traditional top to bottom. But it always kind of bothered me over the last kind of couple of years that we were being all traditional with the routines and the things and the this and the ceremony. And that's why like a lot of like young people now, like you'd call it like the alt-right youth, they like the Catholic Church because they're like, it's rooted in tradition and strength and honor. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But your Pope is a globalist, essentially, con man who's taken and commandeered the whole thing. Remember, this is a Pope who was used to usher in the Great Replacement that has been the single most consequential coup on nationalist nations over the last decade, if you think about it. Globalization and the Great Replacement, which is real, is saying let's move in as many people from as many third world countries as possible into European countries and make them unrecognizable so their customs and their values and what made them is eroded. So we have a one world government because everything looks kind of the same. And if you say something about it, you're a racist. It's not racism at all. But that's what they say. The Pope supported that and was a main driver of it. And whenever somebody said something about it, people would say, but look what the Pope says. Roll this clip, Frankie.
And the Vatican calls Pope Francis an advocate for peace and the poor. What stands out to you from the causes he championed?
Oh, absolutely. Right. So we have seen, of course, Pope Francis's support for those who are less fortunate. Right. And he took action to his own accord. Right. We have seen him himself speak up about for those wanting that, for instance, or who are homeless. Right. That was something that was discussed out here in the U.S. that we've seen about the support for others. Something that, for instance, I was thinking about Archbishop Bergoglio. He had shared with us just this morning in one of his statements about, for instance, not just the poor, the unborn, for instance, the migrants, right? Always touching base, essentially, Diane, to issues that are happening right here, right now, right? It's easy to say that maybe some people don't have any direct...
So you hear they tie in the unborn to the migrants? One has nothing to do with the other. See what you did there? The unborn, okay, because all Catholics, Christians, we're all very pro-life. With the migrants, really? Being pro-Kilmar is not being in the same vein as being pro-life. It's absurd. Tom Homan actually called it out last week. Very timely. Roll it.
You had some very harsh words for the...
I got harsh words for the Pope. Pope won't fix the Catholic Church. I'm saying this is a lifelong Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I was first communion as a Catholic, confirmation as a Catholic. You ought to fix the Catholic Church and concentrate on his work and leave border enforcement to us. He wants to attack us for securing our border. He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States. So I wish he'd stick to the Catholic Church and fix that.
Amen, Tom Homan. You know, it's funny. I've been to the Vatican twice. There's a huge wall, big wall. And you know what? You can't get in that wall. And right outside the wall is like, the third world African panhandlers. Okay, that look like Somali pirates trying to sell you shit.
Yep.
Are they in the Vatican? No. But they're right outside the wall. That's what keeps them out.
Insane that he.
And how could we forget? When the Pope did this? Again, you think the Pope, 90, 88 years old, 87 at the time, you think he wakes up and he goes, I just feel like supporting and loving trannies today. I just feel one with the tranny community. That's very Catholic of me. You think he just woke up and said that? Or you think he signed his soul away and they said, you're going to do this today? And he was controlled by a higher force to normalize this psychopathic behavior. If anybody saw this and still believed in that Pope, I don't know who you are, but you are blind. Blind loyalty. Like literally, no, you're just an idiot. This was the final straw that told me, and should have told everybody, that something was very badly wrong here. Roll it, Frankie.
Women, and they are all going today on a bus to the Vatican to have lunch with Pope Francis.
On Sunday, the pontiff hosted a lunch for more than 1,000 people to mark the Catholic Church's World Day of the Poor. Francis's friendship with the Torvaianica trans community began during Italy's strict COVID-19 lockdown, when Father Andrea Conocchia found sex workers showing up at his church asking for help to survive. The Vatican stepped in, providing food, medicine, hygienic supplies, and even vaccines.
Oh, don't forget the vaccines.
The AIDS vaccines.
La pandemia non nos ha fatto mancare nulla di speciale, unico.
Claudia Victoria Salas and Laura Esquivel were given a seat at the Pope's table.
L'ho detto che sono molto contenta che sono lì seduta a tavola con lui a fare un pranzo.
It's actually, you're at a loss for words when you watch that. Oh, we made sure they had the vaccines, and he brought the trannies in. Again, like you want to, Pope Francis, and he brought in 1,000 trannies, and the story doesn't even make sense. A tranny sex worker wandered up to the gates of the Vatican,
scared for their
and said,
lives.
Hey, I got no food. Okay, here's 1,000 of them coming in. Come on, Frankie. It's just unbelievable. Last word here on this.
It's clearly propaganda. It's a joke. Give me a break. They kind of do this thing. They say, look, like the trans are under attack. They're scared to live how they live. We need to give them more rights. It's like, what are you talking about? They're human beings like we are. They don't need nothing. All right? That's all I got. Getting me angry. I'm sweating today.
They don't need nothing. They don't need nothing. It's unbelievable. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back to wrap the show. Do not go anywhere. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. All right, Frankie, we roll on. We're rolling on. Also want to shout out our friends at over to OFP. Guys, head on over to OFPfarms.com right now and use promo code CRISPY for 15% off your order. I actually am going to go to OFP Farms and make an order myself. I'm going to make an order. Frankie's got the mix match promo codes. It's okay, Frankie. We're gonna do promo code CRISPY, Frankie. Promo code CRISPY.
It's there.
We got last call there.
I don't know.
Last call.
You're confusing human to work for. You understand?
I know it is a little confusing, but we're gonna go promo code CRISPY today for 15% off your order. Guys, head on over there right now. They got amazing products: soaps, lotions, lip balms, beard products, magnesium, pain, cream relief products. You name it. All on this beautiful goat farm. They make these products. The goats are beautiful. The goats are raised.
We'll show you some clips tomorrow.
By America First Patriots. We'll show you some clips of the goats. Yeah, we do have some clips of the goats. If you watch Last Call, the goats are there. And so we love Last Call. We love our Last Call viewers. We love our RAV audience. We love people who
I'll
are
just say with
show.
OFP real quick.
Don't forget the lip balm. Yes,
my brother was like one of the last one was the last one in my family that didn't switch over to OFP. He had this one brand that he loved, and literally yesterday at Easter, he's like, "Bro, OFP, they last forever. I will never change soap carriers." So OFP, you got a forever customer right there. There we go. It's pretty easy with this
I'm
program.
a forever customer. I really am a forever customer. And thank you to everybody who's making our show Last Call a big success. It's on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock on Real America's Voice. Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. Do not miss it. Best show ever. And we're only getting better. We're getting better and better. All right, Frankie, let's roll it back into it.
And, if it feels like we're ending a little early today, that's a water main break at my apartment. So if you want to add some prayers in for that, I'd appreciate it. Should be fun. All right, we're on in.
Frankie is an absolute patriot doing this show, even though he has a water main break in his apartment. So we're going to roll.
We're on in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back to the show, everybody. Mike Crispy here, and I want to wrap the show on a very important note, is the way that the globalists, the neocons, the deep state hacks, the Democrats are going after a man who poses a threat to the entire scam of a system that's been run on us for a very long time. Even since before 9/11, remember, trillions of dollars misappropriated at the Pentagon, Donald Rumsfeld, and a couple days later there was 9/11, and the Pentagon has never passed an audit ever since. They never passed an audit then. They've never passed an audit since, and they have answered to nobody. Pete Hegseth came in as a change agent. President Trump put him in the spot. I think he's one of the best cabinet picks that we've had in a very long time. And you knew that this would be the first guy that they went after. You knew it. Because he was the biggest, him and RFK are the biggest counters to the system in that they were interjected into. So, of course, CNN is going after Hegseth in a huge way. The radical left is as well. Here is Pete Hegseth, CNN. This is what they're doing to him. Roll, Frank.
Well, Kate, sources told us last night that Hegseth set up this Signal chat that included about a dozen people, including his wife, his lawyer, and his brother, early on in his confirmation process as a way to kind of strategize with some of his closest advisors. But he apparently continued to use this particular Signal chat even after he was confirmed as Secretary of Defense. And last month, we are told he did, in fact, share those sensitive details about the military operation against the Houthis in Yemen on that Signal chat that included his wife, lawyer, and brother. Now, it's not clear at this point whether everyone on that Signal chat had a security clearance, but officials say
All right. So how would they know that, Frankie? How would there be the wife? Do you think the wife or the brother or the lawyer narked on Hegseth?
Dude, something's up.
Bullshit.
The owners of Signal obviously have compromised. Like, this is encrypted, my ass. It's like they've all, ever since, up until this administration, it was like Signal is the go-to. Any government officials, they're using Signal. Tucker is using Signal. Everyone's using Signal. Wrong. All of a sudden, it's like this is like using WhatsApp or like Facebook Messenger. It's like, what is going on? Are you kidding me?
And by the way, Frankie, when they say sensitive information, what's sensitive? That as the strike was happening, they said, okay, we're doing. Like, I can guarantee you that if you look at the messages, the timing of it, it probably was sensitive at a time, then it wasn't, and he said something related to it, and they're like putting it together and conflating it. Yes, Frankie, sorry.
Yeah, we just played like 2 weeks ago a speech of Jasmine Crockett just speaking to her supporters saying, oh, if y'all are on Signal, you got to get on Signal. That's all I use. What the fuck? What is going on? I don't get it.
Frankie wanted to throw an F-bomb.
I think it did. I think it came out. I'm trying to catch it.
But yeah, no, it's it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. 2 F-bombs in the show. That's a limit for us. So here is the Democrat Party. The Democrats are saying that they are trying to get rid of Hegseth, as you can see. The Democrat Party official statement was, Pete Hegseth needs to go. Why? Why does he need to go? And then last night, he just smoked them and said, your agenda is illegals, trans, and DEI, all of which are no longer allowed at the DOD. I like that. Fighting back, Pete Hegseth. Fight him back. That is what needs to happen. And we will end the show on the White House today, coming out this morning, doubling down. Again, remember back in the day, the deep state kind of led the coup to get General Flynn out of the picture. Remember that? Like, he was there and then he was gone. It was very weird. And like everybody kind of like, ganged up against General Flynn, like to Trump, and then Trump like let him go. Like, I guess didn't understand fully what was going on and delegated the responsibility, and then Pence like put him out to pasture. That's not happening this time around. We have had 8 years to figure this out. The White House just goes, sorry about it. Hegseth stays. Roll it.
The president stands strongly behind Secretary Hegseth, who is doing a phenomenal job leading the Pentagon. And this is what happens when the entire Pentagon is working against you and working against the monumental change that you are trying to implement. Secretary Hegseth was nominated for this position because he is standing up for the war fighter, the men and women in uniform who are putting their lives on the line to protect our country and our homeland. And unfortunately, there have been people at that building who don't like the change the secretary is trying to bring, so they are leaking and they are lying to the mainstream media. We've seen this game played before.
Leaking and lying. And there is a deep state faction that still is involved with some people there. You notice there's these firings of leakers and Hegseth's firing people and other people are getting caught in these things. And it's a mess. But as long as Hegseth perseveres, we're in a much better spot than we ever were from 2016 to 2020. All right, guys, that's about all the time that we have on the show today. You guys know we do in this program. We keep it America first. We keep it bold. We always keep it unafraid. And you better believe we are just getting started. We thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you back live tomorrow.